TNTM, the show presents
Talking Nerdy, March 2024 edition.
Shogun. We'll be covering that pretty deep because there's been quite a few episodes. With your hosts, Pablo Gunner,
The Ambassador,
and our guest,
special guest.
Oh, Marvin Goof here.
Marvin Goof. Yes, who did a Dune 2. He did our Dune 2 review, Dune Part 2 review to be more specific. And so we are here to talk nerdy to you. We've been doing this, like almost 13 years now?
Yeah.
Right? Crazy. So we are here to waste our time so you don't have to, right? Like, we're going to watch everything good or bad that's nerdy. You know, try to play as many things, do as many things, so you don't waste your time. You can save it for the best of the best,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So that's what we're here to deliver on. Now let's move on to Shogun, which is a live-action show about Japan.
It's based off of a novel that's loosely based off of historical events, so it's not going to be
Exact. Yeah.
for that reason. But yeah, the show is very interesting, and it's really intelligent where they started. They started off with a British guy who's basically trying to figure out what the Portuguese are hiding, because the Portuguese seem to be up to no good, and the British just don't care about any Catholic agreements because they're not Catholics. During that time, the Catholics divided the world between Portugal and Spain, and just so that they wouldn't be Catholics killing Catholics. And so, with that divided line, the Portuguese get like Africa and Asia, and so they have Japan, and they know about it, and because Japan's an island off of like the Asian continent, not everyone knows it even exists.
So prime land then for doing nefarious things.
Yeah.
For the Portuguese, yes. Like, it's a really weird twist when it comes to Japan, because the British aren't really that bad when it comes to Japan. They're, you would say, just more of they're there than anything else, which is what you would rather have. Well, the Portuguese are not. What the Portuguese were known to do was take over countries by converting people to Catholicism and then getting their people into leadership positions until eventually, suddenly, it was a Catholic country. Very, very, very effective, but that's what they did. So it starts with the main character, the Englishman, getting seized by Japan.
Oh, okay.
And so he's having to discover Japan himself, and the Portuguese aren't quite there yet, so he's just trying to talk to them, and they have no clue what he's saying, because a lot of the Japanese people only speak Japanese, and the only other language they know is Portuguese.
Interesting, okay. Because to me, so it's like a fish out of water type story, it seems like the presentation. That's cool, okay.
But he's also brought like a really armed British ship with him, and the British at that time have some better tech than the Portuguese. And so to be able to show them, like, this is what we could do, they're like, what? And so basically, with the story, as the Portuguese find out about it, they're trying to cover him up, but some of the Japanese people are a little bit too smart for the Portuguese and outsmart them. And so whenever you're hearing English in the show, except for the very beginning, it's not English.
It's Japanese?
It's Portuguese.
Oh, it's Portuguese.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then the Japanese is all just Japanese with subtitles.
Okay.
Yes.
I kind of like that touch, because I mean, to me, when I started seeing the ads for all this, it felt to me like this really very authentic sort of interpretation of it. I feel like it's probably one of the most authentic showings of Japanese culture I've seen.
Yeah, it's really cool, and basically you're just seeing it through his eyes, and he shows up at a point where Japan is getting ready to go into a civil war, because previously Japan was ruled by shoguns, which is like their emperor, but the shoguns were overthrown and they just have like different heads of different areas ruling together. And even the person before that wasn't a shogun, he was just person in charge. And so now these rulers are trying to take the whole country for themselves. And then you got the Portuguese, while they're converting different leaders to Christianity and trying to figure out what they want to do, and they're trying to take over the government. So you got all these different factions there, and then the British guy shows up and really becomes a thorn in the side for a lot of people.
Man, yeah, that just sounds ripe for drama. That's good. That's good to hear that it's actually doing that.
Oh yeah. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful show. It's so fascinating. I love history. To me, I wish to like further people, to make people smarter. Let's just do top high production stuff like this for all historical stuff, so that that's how we learn and get smarter. Like, because then everyone's gonna watch it or should want to watch it, because it's just so phenomenal. I love this show. It's so brilliant like that. I love learning. I love Japanese culture, and then learning about like old school, like the feudal Japan stuff. Like, oh my gosh, it's so fascinating, because I was like, to me, it feels like an anime come to life. You know what I mean?
Okay,
like,
yeah.
it's so, mind you, it's more political. It's not as much action as like an anime would be, but I love that stuff. Like, I love, like, yeah, there's this political stuff, there's the religion, there's all this stuff, but yeah, just learning about their culture and everything like that, like through the main character. And I love too that they don't have like American accents either. You know what I mean? Like, at least their accents are like, oh, the Portuguese guy, his accent sounds like, I guess, what a Portuguese accent would sound like. At least like a Spanish accent, right?
Well,
to me,
he wasn't Portuguese.
Oh no,
the main guys.
No. The other guy. I know that he was British. I mean, the other guy that was leading he was the other guy that was the quartermaster or whatever for the Portuguese ship.
Yeah, he was a Spaniard.
So, okay,
he
well,
was
then
a
he had a perfect Spaniard accent.
Working for the Portuguese.
For the Portuguese
That's
government.
interesting.
So
yeah, Rodriguez was a Spaniard.
But like, even the guy that's like, he's not just speaking, because that drives me nuts. Like, if you're gonna do Napoleon, okay, fine, it's not in French. At least do a French accent. I don't want to hear you sounding like an American doing Napoleon. If you're gonna do a German movie and everyone's supposed to be German, at least do a German accent. It's like, come on, you're not even trying at that point. If you're gonna sound American and then it takes place, that's stupid. I won't even waste my time with you. This, I'll waste all my time. Because it doesn't feel like a waste. I feel like I'm learning. I feel like I'm enriching, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, the drama, because there's like other stuff too, like, the interpreter lady, she's the same lady from the Godzilla spin-off show. And then the main dude is the guy that's who is he? Sub-Zero or Scorpion?
He was in the Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah, he was in the Mortal Kombat movie. And he's a phenomenal actor. I love that guy. Like, in everything he does, I love it. And so he's just so perfect in this show. And I just feel like the acting is absolutely top-notch. Even the other guy, like, what I also didn't notice, and it was cool to see that through the main character, is he's like, the way that they do things, and you're like, why did this guy do this when he could have just had his underlings do it? And you're like, because that's how these leaders are. Like, these leaders will be like, they lead from the front, and they'll be like, I'm not going to do something that I'm not going to do myself, right? Like, I'm gonna lead from the front. And he was just like, and then also to be like, these dudes are so macho. Like, that's the thing, is like, Japanese people, really, they are macho. Like, the males, like, they do have the machismo, you know what I mean? Like, they really do. Like, they got their pride, and you're like, all right. I like, some of their customs are like weird. Like, the dude was gonna kill himself because he's like, oh, I'd rather kill myself than the waves like crush me to death. And I'm like, that is so weird. Like, why? It doesn't make sense. But it's like, that's another culture. Like, I can't. I'm trying to understand it. you know?
Right, yeah.
So
Yeah.
fascinating to me.
Yeah, they don't leave Sepultai out.
Yeah, it's so good. I love it. It's so interesting. And then, like I said, there's even some like romance drama going on there too. Like I said, with the interpreter, you know, and stuff. And you're like, okay, all right. It's interesting, dude. I love it. So for me, strong must see. If you're not watching it, you have to be watching it. You should be watching it.
It's a must watch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on Hulu. So that's that. And that being said, like I said, we talked about some of our merch already of the stuff we're going to be making for you all for next month. I'm sporting our Dragon Ball style shirt, Talk Nerdy to Me, because of course, if you've heard, Akira Toriyama passed away, which is such an icon, such a legend. His, of course, Dragon Ball, but
He also did like Chrono Trigger, and then he did Dragon Quest games.
yes, so he's just like, it's so crazy when people go, all he did was put pen to paper, and how much, right, like drawing and writing, and how much people did he affect. There is a generation of nerds, because nerds used to be basement dwellers, you know, attic dwellers maybe. Now look what they are. They're the gun show, right? Like,
Yes.
and I'm not even one of the big ones. Like, there's dudes that legitimately look like Broly because of Dragon Ball Z. There's dudes that look like Goku. Like, there's a generation, and then, like, even like you said, the other stuff, like, that he's done, it's just crazy how he's changed, you know, he's changed, obviously, even the America's Western civilization, because I know that Dragon Ball Z is massive in South America even, right? Because they were there before they were in the States. So like they're huge. It's huge everywhere. And it's so crazy the influence of the guy just made drawings and wrote some stuff, and that's it. And it's beautiful, beautiful. Indeed. So if you want to do it, do it. Be inspired by that and let's make those stories, right?
Absolutely.
And inspire people to work out, to do more, to grow, to be better. So, yeah. And then I also got my Azul Beetle pants that I designed. I don't even know if I have these in the store, but I just loved the Blue Beetle movie so much. It spoke to me. I know it didn't speak to everybody. It wasn't really necessarily meant to speak to everybody. I mean, hopefully it does to us, and then to a certain degree, but I thought it was phenomenal. I think it was one of the best things, if not the best thing, that DC's put out in a long time. So, especially if you're not like into superhero stuff, I think like you won't notice a lot of the things, I won't say ripped off, but definitely, you know, we're taking notes from like Iron Man and I mean there's so much, right? There's so much now. Yeah. But yeah. What about you guys?
Well, I mean that pretty much sums it up for me. There's a lot of good stuff coming out, you know. So,
but you got the Halo.
I did get the Halo shirt right here, so you know.
And we're gonna have to hook him up with the Star Trek.
Oh,
you know,
yes, absolutely.
We'll get that Star Trek merch out there. We don't have much now, but like I said, we'll start pumping it out. So yeah, so for sure we'll.
I don't know. They might just all forget about Star Trek, like how everyone conveniently forgot about Michael in Discovery. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Basically, Michael Burnham, the main character, when they go into the future, they're like, okay, well, we're all going to forget about this character.
That's all interesting.
That was really, like, literally what they said. It was bad.
Oh, man.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I love the main chick though. Oh my gosh, wasn't she also in Walking Dead?
Maybe.
Yeah, she was in Walking Dead. But I mean, I love the first season. I absolutely love the first season of Star Trek Discovery. So, and I know there's other stuff that's been really good. I've heard of Star Trek that's out there. What's the other one that they have besides Discovery? I know there's Picard, obviously, which I've heard both good and bad things, but
Beyond
mostly good.
Pretty solid.
Beyond, yes, Beyond.
Brave
That's
New
the other
World
one.
is out there, but Brave New Worlds is out there somewhere too.
I think,
No,
yeah.
not Beyond. Stranger Worlds.
Stranger Worlds. That's the one I've heard a lot of good things about.
That one's been kind of good.
Even Lower Decks.
Basically, happens before Kirk takes over the Enterprise, and so it's focused on Pike's turn as captain.
Okay, sweet. So, And then you're rocking the
Talk Nerdy to Me Star Wars shirt.
yes, and this is like our first one of our first shirts, right? Like our stuff's gotten way better. Like we've added like light swords. Are we,
Beam swords.
Beam swords, But yeah, like there's some legit stuff. Like we have like, the double one, the white ones. Like we have so many different designs that Slay J designed that are just phenomenal, and I feel like I need to get those ones because they're so great. Yes. But yeah, there's so much stuff. So, and what's great too is so every month we donate 5% of our profits to charity. So help us, help them by buying our merch. For March, it's Center for Reproductive Rights. Last month it was Noble. I forget. I know that for April we're going to do Autism Speaks. So I've done my research. That's what we're going to cover. That's going to be charity that we're going to be donating to. So please help us so that we can help them out. Right? We want to make a positive influence on our society, on our world.
Absolutely, yes.
And that being said, I want to give shout outs because the people that have positively helped us as well. Of course, at the top of that list, and always at the top of that list, we have to give out a shout out to our best bud Atticus, who just continues to grow and get better and do more interesting things on his YouTube channel as a YouTuber in Vietnam, as a teacher in Vietnam, and just showing us, slice of life, anything goes. Like, I mean, now he's covering, he's done a deep dive of Dune on his, so he has nerdy stuff too. Like, we've inspired him to do some nerdy stuff on his channel, so definitely check him out. He's one of the greatest. We have Bernakenshin, the Superpower List. Check them out on Facebook and definitely on X. We also added, there's Gone Gold Podcast, Po' Boy Pod, Billy D's, Gmart 8, Pesky Gremlins. They retweet us a lot, so they're awesome. Cinematic Anarchy, Filmmaker Pod, MK Jekyll and Hyde. They're across the board. They do online web comics and stuff, and I just love the message that they send. Like everything that they say is so inspirational. So definitely check them out. The Film Rage guys, those guys, they review every single movie, good or bad, kind of like us. They waste their time, so you don't have to. And some stuff is surprising. You'll be surprised. Like some stuff you're like, oh, I thought that was gonna be garbage. They give just enough to where it doesn't feel like completely spoiled, but they'll spoil if they're like, we're gonna spoil so that you don't waste your time because you shouldn't. Like we have to spoil it so that you do that. So they're great. Web Imagine Service, they do music and promote music. Merime Media, they're similar to us, but they're different. And Riot TV, they do streaming stuff, which is hilarious. Zarin67. And then newly added is G-Nuts of Horror. So if you're into horror, definitely check them out because they do reviews for stuff for them. So that's where you're going to get your horror stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, share us. With your friends, your family, your dogs, your pets, whatever.
Let's talk. Let's keep talking about this stuff.
Yeah, yes. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. We're more than halfway there so that we can cover more stuff for you. And like I said, like us on Facebook and help us out. We really appreciate it. We love it. Thank you for getting where you've gotten us to now on everything. We're on everything. We're on X. We're on the Threads. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, of course. So talk nerdy to me.
Stay nerdy, planet Earth.